Hi, guys. This is Janice, and I'm talking to Anthony and Derex from HyKreations. I'm so excited to have you guys here talking about one of my favorite subjects, foliar feeding. And about 4 or 5 years ago, we started bringing your products in and using them on our own places. Greg and I both tried out and had phenomenal results. And we've added education to our program about the importance of foliar feeding. And together, the three of us have created or enhanced a nutrition program talking about this. And the whole thing has transformed what has been happening in our customers' orchards. So I'm really excited about talking to both of you, or actually listening to both of you today, explaining the importance and the fundamentals of foliar feeding.
Thanks for
So
having us.
I,
Thank
you
you.
know, I've loved working with you guys. You guys have been so responsive to the needs. And as our customers have sent us questions, we've reached out to you and you've helped us develop this program so much. I think that what you are doing for the customers of the urban farm is phenomenal. And so thank you.
Absolutely.
You're
That's
welcome.
just part of our passion. I definitely feel like we've grown to love fruit trees, especially, Derek's grew up in Alabama. I grew up in Arizona, and he tells me about fruit that I've never even heard of. And so that's why I started planting it in the backyard.
Awesome.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, we have this new program in our system where we talk about levels of care and on this in the different areas, and it is such a crucial element of success that we have to have implemented into our requirements, foliar feeding. So I am excited to hear what you have to say on this. I'm going to step back and let you guys take it over.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
So the title of our presentation today is the fundamentals of foliar feeding. And our goal when we created this presentation was to have plenty of information for everyone, but we also wanted to make it basic enough for everyone to understand and easy to remember. Just a little bit of who we are. My name is Anthony Dominguez. I'm a microbiologist. I have a degree from the University of Arizona in microbiology.
Hello, everyone. I am Derex Zellars. I'm also the co-founder of HyKreations, and I have a Bachelor's of Science in Environmental Science, which I definitely like to focus more on the soil aspect.
What is foliar feeding? So, foliar feeding is a technique that was developed to deliver fertilizers, nutrients, minerals, all in a spray form. Now, there are a few different ways we can go about applying it. There's some different tools and equipment. We'll touch on that later. But why is it going to work for us? Well, because plants, trees, they can all absorb nutrients through their leaves, barks, and branches. So why would we foliar feed? What's the reasoning behind it? Basically, we're from all different parts of the world. Not all of us are going to have the same soil types. Some of us may be lacking. Some of us may be in excesses of certain types of nutrients. The idea behind foliar feeding is that you're trying to create a complete nutrient solution that you can then apply to your tree to help bridge any nutritional gaps that your trees might be missing, depending on your soil type and location, wherever you are in the world. What would we actually recommend using? Well, these are our HyKreation products. This is part of the Wisdom line. And what you're seeing right here is our foliar feeding pack. It consists of Sol, which is a liquid humic acid derivative. We've got Essence, which is our pure liquid kelp. And we have Noble Gills, our liquid fish fertilizer. So that one is an actual fertilizer. It has a little bit of nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus.
The Wisdom line, we have Soul, Essence, and Noble Gills. So what makes Soul so unique when it comes to foliar feeding? Well, Soul contains about 60 trace minerals. All of those would be in their available form. So you're definitely going to be able to bridge that gap where you're missing some of those micronutrients. But what makes so more important than just having 60 trace minerals is its molecular structure. Its molecular structure is so small that it's able to bind all 60 of those trace minerals and pass them directly to the cells of the plant. And this doesn't just include the leaves or the bark, it also includes the fruit. We have our product, which is Essence, which is a pure liquid kelp, and we all love kelp, but we love it more because what it contains. It contains amino acid. It contains solids, which acts as a great microbe food. And so you actually are going to be able to enhance your good bacteria while you're doing foliar feeding as well. But more importantly, it contains hormones, which is called plant hormones or plant growth regulators. And this is what we're going to be using to help make the tree grow nice and strong. We're going to help develop your fruit properly. And then we have our noble gills. Everyone loves fish emulsions. You probably just don't love the smell of it, but we all love the performance of it. And the good thing about noble gills, it has a high dose of calcium and magnesium and a digestible form of nitrogen. And why is that digestible form of nitrogen so important? Because it doesn't get lost. The plant will actually utilize every drop of it. Most like some fertilizers that contain high nitrogens, it gets evaporated, it gets washed off the plants, it gets washed out of the soil. Not with noble gills. The plant will absorb it and feed off of that product as long as you're foliar feeding.
Another thing I'd like to talk about is definitely the quality of the product, especially Essence. Now, there are tons of kelp products out there on the market, but we do not use any harsh chemicals to separate it or extract these plant hormones. They're very important, as Derex was talking about, but we don't use anything to separate them. It is pure ground up kelp versus something you might notice on the shelf. It's going to be extracted using something harsh like potassium hydroxide. Like you said, Soul really helps deliver everything. I felt that is such an important product. Even if you use Soul alone, it is just so beneficial. Noble Gills, we actually go out and search for sardine. They go deeper down in the water. It's colder, so they're going to produce a better protein content and a better fat content. So we're really, really picky about what ingredients go into our products. So we really do care, and they really are of the highest quality. So, what are some of the reasons why we should foliar feed? Let's talk about faster response time. We mentioned that not all of our soils are going to have the same amount of nutrients. They might have more, they may have less. But say you do see a nutrient deficiency on your plant, maybe you can diagnose, maybe you can't. But a really good response would be to make it a foliar solution, spray directly where you are seeing that deficiency. That's where it's missing the nutrients. Using Soul, it directly deliver those nutrients into the plant cells. So wherever it's lacking, it will not lack anymore. And that's where you get a faster response time. That's where you see the change happen a little bit faster, where your plants are going to recover a little bit more, just in case something does happen. We can't control nature, we can't control the ground, but we do have preventative measures to help our trees be very healthy and survive the seasons.
One of the biggest complaints that we get is that, oh, my fruit tree produced flowers, but they all fell off. And so by using this foliar package, particularly with the product Essence and those plant growth regulators, we're going to be able to make your fruit trees produce more flowers that are going to last longer. So in the event that we get a big windstorm or a big sandstorm, then you lose most of your flowers. Well, by using a foliar application, particularly with the Wisdom line, you're going to be able to retain more of those flowers, which is going to be a great thing because the more flowers you have, the better chance that you're going to get a good pollinated fruit tree, even flowering. So that means that you're going to have more flowers that gets pollinated, which means you're going to have evening ripening, evening development on your fruit. Everyone wants to have fruit that all looks the same, that's growing in the same size, that's going to ripen evenly. And this all comes from a foliar feeding by producing those flowers in the very, very beginning.
And it's not just fruit trees. We can do this on tomatoes, we can do this on peppers, cucumbers, anything that's going to produce a flower. we can do a foliar application and have them open up at the same time, which is more likely chance they'll be pollinated at the same time and they'll be ready and ripen all at the same time. It's very cool and very unique how we can manipulate some of these plants into getting them to give us a nice large harvest.
And what some people may not realize is that by producing more flowers, that you're also increasing the shelf life, even if your fruit is very, very tiny. That's the process of where we start to influence the fruit with foliar feeding. And so in the end, when it's time to harvest your fruit, you're going to have a longer shelf life. You're definitely going to have a much sweeter fruit. But more importantly, you are preparing the tree for next year's fruit. That's something that people tend to not understand, but fruit trees go through their own cycle as well. And usually it takes a really long time when those nutrients have to be absorbed through the soil. And so what we like to do, because of that one product soul that takes the products directly to the cells of the plant, we're able to start influencing next year's production of fruit even before you see it on the actual tree.
Yeah, that's something different we do. We actually recommend foliar feeding on the off season. And not a lot of people like that. They were wondering, well, if the tree's not producing any fruit, it's not flowering, it's not growing, it's dormant, why would we do that? And that I feel that has to do a lot with the essence, that how we can store up all those plant hormone and all those sugars, and when they're needed in the spring or whenever the plants or the trees come out of dormancy, they're there, they're already available, they've already been stored in the tree. So it's kind of a whole circle. You can't just start at production. You actually have to do a little bit of maintenance in the off season, but it really does help with the sweeter fruit, your longer shelf lives. I feel like that's absolutely important. And we've known trees that weren't producing and we foliar fed them in the winter, which is unheard of, and they came out that next spring beautiful, right?
Absolutely.
So definitely, if you guys have any questions, we will be here for the Q&A session. But if you want to know where to buy them, you can pick up these products on our website, www.hycreations.com/hy-creations-store. They are also on the Urban Farm, which is www.store.urbanfarm.org/foliar. You can pick it up. If you are in person, you can definitely pick them up at the pop-up nursery. If not, we both offer any shipping option. We do offer shipping options.
I am so excited to be part of this again. I thank you. I personally have learned a lot about the biology, how the trees intake the foliar nutrients. And when I've been applying that, and it makes so much sense with all the biology studies that I've had myself. And it's lovely to see the trees take these nutrients in and just turn into some gorgeous green creatures in our yard. My picture behind me is a well-nourished orchard, thanks to HyKreations.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.